It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. In this crazy world we're living in, sorry, I'm just thinking about it. How crazy is it? It's the craziest I ever remember it being anyway, but I don't know if that's because we get to know now about everything that happens all over the world or whether it really is crazy, or maybe it was just as crazy before, we just didn't know about it. But let me put my banner up. I'm as usual, I'm not organized properly. I'm never completely organized. There was something else that I was going to put up and I can't remember. I just want, yeah. So we have some new members emojis that I have put in the. So we've got the sheriff members emoji, which I like a sheriff, and quite often we have sheriffs speaking, don't we? And we're going to watch a sheriff speaking today, very good looking sheriff, about Travis Decker. So I've got the sheriff's emoji up there. So I change these emojis every now and again. And I made a crazy world one, but I don't know if you can really see it properly, but it's like a planet with crazy on it. But I've also got some other examples of that I might try and see if they stand out better, because it is a crazy world, isn't it? It certainly is a crazy world, and it's probably going to get crazier rather than more sane. You can't see it getting sane anytime soon, can you? So anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I am Vicky Marie. I am British, but I'm based in Spain, in Europe. I talk about true crime and, well, all sorts of things, really. What are you crying for? The dog's having a little whimper. And yeah, in today's video, we're going to watch the press conference from Sheriff Morrison, talking of sheriffs, to announce that finally, definitively, Travis Decker has been identified as being dead, not only by his clothes, which was what was being reported yesterday. The marshals had declared the case closed and wanted the arrest warrant removing because they were prepared to accept the DNA on the clothes as conclusive evidence that Travis was dead. But Sheriff Morrison, rightly in my opinion, said he wanted to wait so that definitively the DNA results came back on the bones, the remains, before he would declare that this case was closed. Well, the case of the 3 murdered girls is closed. Travis Decker, for anybody who doesn't know, was a horrible man who murdered his 3 daughters while he was on a supervision, an access visit with them for a couple of hours. He took them off into the mountains and murdered them quite brutally, actually. And then ever since, there's been a search for him a couple of months now, and all sorts of rumors flying around that he'd gone on the run, he'd gone to Canada, he'd gone to Mexico. He was a survivalist, so was he in a bunker? There was all sorts of things, but predictably, and really, as I definitely thought from the beginning, Travis, it looks like he unalived himself very shortly after unaliving his 3 beautiful daughters, which actually, let me put a picture up. So we always have to remember the victims, don't we? How he could do it, I just never know. I mean, they talk about him having mental health issues, and in a way, he must have had mental health issues to be able to kill these 3 little angels, mustn't he? Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. But anyway, yeah, he's a piece of shit, basically. And I've put him in the hellhole. Let's have a look at him going round. This is where he will be spinning in hell, I hope. So we're going to look at that press conference from Sheriff Morrison. You can see the relief in his face, because this is a good result It's a shame that he's not facing justice, of course, not in this world anyway. He'll be facing justice in the next world, but a shame he's not facing justice in this world. And will we ever find out the reasons why he did it? I think it's just out of spite because he'd asked the mother of the girls to they were estranged, and he'd asked for her to go back to him. She said no. And she had been telling the courts, poor Whitney, she had been telling the courts his mental health is in decline. He should not be having access to the girls. But that was the court order. She had to let the girls go that Saturday. Imagine how she feels. She didn't want them to go. She knew that he was unbalanced. The courts said that otherwise she might have lost custody of them. Terrible, isn't it? These courts, sometimes you think, what planet are they on? Are they on something? Anyway, it's happened now. There's no bringing these little girls back. But at least the resolution that Travis is deceased, it gives some peace to Whitney, hopefully, that he's not, lurking at her door, ready to do her in as well. And of course, it's a relief to the whole community because, Travis, if he was a dangerous man. If he's prepared to kill his own 3 daughters, he wouldn't be above killing anybody else, would he? So that's what we're going to watch, that press conference by the sheriff. And that's why I've put the sheriff emoji up there. Okay, and then we're going to talk about this. So that's one case that's sort of coming to an end. I mean, we've still got to find out what happened, if they can find out how Travis unalived himself. We're waiting for... will they be able to even tell how he did it? I don't know. But anyway, that's a case that's carrying on in that sense. But the actual case of searching for Travis is finished. But so as that case draws to a close, there's a case that's emerging, isn't there, that we're following, the case of Celeste Rivas. This poor girl who was either 13 or 14, depending on, everybody seems to say something different when she went missing, and then has been found deceased in the front trunk of a Tesla that was registered to this man, who is a famous singer and a lot older than her, David. And we've been following that. We've been looking at some of his creepy interviews, the creepy lyrics to his songs, Romantic Homicide, etc. He's a pseudo-intellectual who, talks with a lot of big words and about his artistry and his this, that and the other. But basically, he's just a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, allegedly, of course, because he hasn't even been charged yet. So I shouldn't get ahead with myself. But yeah, he could only impress young girls because older women would see right through him right from the beginning. He's just never grown up. He's right inside his own head, and he would appeal to a young girl. Of course he would. Young girls, I suppose he's sort of quite good looking in a sinister way. Singer, getting successful, talking like a pseudo-intellectual. It's easy to impress a 13-year-old girl, isn't it? It's harder to impress a grown woman, of course. I don't think he'd be very good at that with his PlayStation games and his anime and everything. I think grown women might not really find that very attractive about him. Anyway, so we're going to look at the timeline of Celeste, or what we know so far of Celeste disappearing. And apparently, he's given up the lease on the property where he was living, and all the stuff is being shipped out of there. So, yeah, we're going to find out what we can. I mean, this is an investigate. So as Travis Decker investigation comes to a close, the Celeste Rivas investigation is just getting going, isn't it? It's just starting. And there's so much. No one's been charged with anything. He hasn't been charged because Celeste Rivas's cause of death at the moment is deferred. So until she's actually identified as a victim of a homicide, no charges are going to be laid, are they? Because the forensic examiner has not even declared a cause of death. So while that is deferred, I don't think any charges will come. It's when and if, apparently it's pending tests. I suppose there's all sorts of tests going on. I was watching a very good interview yesterday about it, saying they would test her liver and her kidney and all her organs. There's probably blood tests, depending on how long she's been deceased. Probably won't come up with much because of the lapse of time and the decomposition. But if and then there's speculation that she might have been pregnant. So there's a lot of speculation, obviously, about this case at the moment, because we don't have the answers yet from law enforcement, because they don't have the answers. I'm sure as soon as they've got some answers they can tell us, we'll get to know about them. There hasn't even been a press conference yet or anything. So we're going to be talking about that. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to those of you who have bought me Ko-fis. I think I've put the link in the chat. Thank you. Special thank you to my members. We had an interesting members live last night. We were talking a bit about Trumpy and all this dystopian stuff about Charlie Kirk, etc. And it was an interesting, it had to be interrupted and resumed, and then it went on for ages. So anyway, thank you for, if you remember, thank you, a special thank you. But thank you to everyone who watches, likes, subscribes, participates in my channel in any positive way. Thank you so much. So hello, lovely lurkers. Again, hello again. Good to see you all. You're all looking well. And hello to Replay crew. Thank you for watching on replay. And now I'm going to go into the chat and see who's brave enough to actually raise their head above the parapet and go into the chat. Hi, David. Now, for some reason, your comments are not coming up everywhere, which is strange. They're coming up on my... Don't know why that is. Anyway, but hello, David D. This is not David M. Hi, thanks for watching. Hi, Westside. Yeah, long time no see. I hope you're well. Hi, Daniel. Happy Friday. And hi, Angel. Yeah, David's comments are not coming up everywhere. They've come up on here. They come up on there, but let's try this. Show comments on stage. Anyway, who knows? Bloody strange YouTube. Sometimes you can't work out what's going on. I can see David's comments, but I saw when I went onto the normal YouTube site, that I've got running alongside just to keep an eye on. His comments aren't on there, so I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, I can see them on mine. So where are we going now? So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting as well. So let's have a look at this press conference by the sheriff. So this is Sheriff Morrison, and he's been dealing with the Travis. He's been sort of the main, what's the word? He's been the main sort of person, if you like, who's come on and talked about all the progress and all the developments, etc. Anyway, he's given a press conference. He looks so much more relaxed. You can tell. It's like, this guy's been confirmed now with the DNA, as well as not only on the clothes, but on the bones and the remains. It's been confirmed. This guy is Travis Decker. And if, there's no evidence to support that anybody else was up there with him. The only DNA evidence on the girls was from Travis. Travis murdered these 3 girls, and then he's probably unalived himself. But we don't know if he unalived himself or not. That's another investigation. He could have had an accident. He could have been attacked by an animal, but he's deceased. That's the main thing. So the community can rest. And this is I love this guy. I mean, not only because he's very, very good looking, because he is very, very, very good looking. But that's not the only I like him. I like him because he's been straight up all the way through, and he's said what they know, what they don't know, what he can say. I think, and he just comes over as a very sincere guy. But anyway, you'll let me know what you think.
I don't think anyone's probably going to stop me from starting early, so that works for everybody. So come on up there. Just make sure everyone's ready.
Yeah, very good looking. I know I keep saying it, but he really is.
We're good? Good. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming here. We're coming full circle. We're looking about 4 months ago. We were just sitting here breaking the news about this tragic situation of the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. And today I stand before you again with news that we have received our DNA results back from the Washington State Patrol's crime lab from the items that were recovered last week. That would be the clothing and also the human remains. We are glad to say that those remains do come back as a positive match for Travis Decker.
Can't you see the relief in his face? He just looks so much more relaxed because, you know, this has been a horrible case, and he's just saying 4 months of not knowing where this guy was, a guy who'd murdered his 3 children in their community. I mean, you know, to us, we're miles away from it. It doesn't affect us, does it really? You know, but you talk about 4 months, and this guy, for all they know, he's wandering around the community or trying to get hold, you know, go for Whitney and kill her next, the children's mother. You know, and this guy, he lives in that community. He's got children. And then all the police that had to find those children, the deceased, the way they were, with bags over their heads and their hands tied behind their back. I don't know if you could ever get over the trauma of coming across that scene. I know they're police officers, and, you know, they've probably trained in dealing with gruesome sights, etc. But I think not children, probably. You know, I think probably most people would agree that dealing with finding children murdered like that, 3 little children, just must have been the most distressing thing for them as well. So my heart goes out to them, as well as to Whitney and the family of the girls, the people that have had to deal with it. And then since then, of course, the pressure's all been on to find Travis. There's been false sightings. There's been, you know, they've took a lot of criticism from people. So I think you can visibly see the relief in this guy's face, that he's able to say that at least that part now of the investigation is closed. Travis is found. He's not roaming around. He's no longer a danger to people.
It's a big day for Chelan County Sheriff's Office, all of our federal partners, that we can finally bring a close to this dark chapter of Chelan County. Certainly pay respects to the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. We wanted to show honor to them, let them know that we never forgot about them. We haven't forgot about their family. To Whitney, we apologize that it's taken this long to get the closeness and the closure that we are looking for in this case.
So he's apologising to Whitney for it taking so long. I think that's why he's so attractive as well. It's not only because he is dishy, as you say, Angel. He is a dishy guy, of course he is. He's got that Richard Gere look. When Richard Gere was young, that's just what he looked like when he first became an actor in sort of American Gigolo and the, you know, fantastic films that I remember, you know, because I'm old enough to remember. So not only because he's a handsome guy, he is a handsome guy, but he seems just so sweet. So it's not very often you get the combination of good looks and a nice, sensitive person. You know, he just seems, to me anyway, in just my opinion, and people might disagree with him, he says the right thing always, or a nice, you know, he's saying, apologising to Whitney for taking so long. And Whitney is the mother of the girls. He's just a little sweetheart, isn't he?
But I hope that you can rest easier at night, knowing that Travis is accounted for. He is deceased. Our DNA results confirm that. and this will bring a close to our case. I want to thank our detectives, our investigative unit, for the amount of time, effort, and just overall sacrifice that they put in.
He's also very gracious, like in the sense of he thanks that, he's not trying, it's not all ego driven, like sometimes, oh, look, we've done brilliant, we've caught him, yeah, yeehaw, like this. He's very appreciative of all the people that have helped them. He always has a word for other people as well. He's too good to be true, isn't he?
It never.
Now, this is very interesting because it's the first time this lady's been mentioned, Stacey. She's a forensic, he mentions her quite a lot in here. It seems to me like she's the one who solved this case, and he says that. So she's a forensic psychologist, and apparently this fourth search where they found Travis's remains, she gave her insight into where she thought, she looked at the mapping and everything, and using her forensic psychologist skills, she told them where she thought that Travis might have headed for. And she was right. She was right. And that's where they found him. And on the fourth search, they went, it was an area that they had not searched before. So it's not that they searched and missed him. They'd never, in the first 3 searches around that area of the campsite where the girls died, but this was just that little bit further up the mountain, Grindstone Mountain it's called. And she somehow, for whatever reason, she's, considered Travis and considered the terrain, and she said, I think this is where he's headed for. And he was there. So she solved it. A woman has solved this.
The circumstances.
Yeah, and also, he's very gracious to Travis's family, because at the end of the day, Travis is a POS father. He's murdered his children. But this guy, Sheriff Morrison, he always has words to say for Travis's family, because he's a son, a brother, etc. And people will be grieving Travis. Is and trying to cope with the facts, trying to, come to terms with what Travis did, won't they? So, he's a very sort of eloquent man, and it feels like he's an empathetic man, and I hope he's like that in real life as well, not just in his job. But yeah, and Joanne asking about those crowns on the chat. This is something that for some unknown reason, YouTube has decided to do. So what they do, whoever says the most chat, it's like you get a 1 and a crown, or a 2 is the second most chatty person in the chat, And it's just a YouTube thing, and there's nothing I can do about it. They've decided they're going to do it on everybody's channel. It's a bit silly in my opinion, but anyway, that in their wisdom, YouTube are doing. Yeah, so of course they were, as far as they knew, until they knew for sure that Travis was dead, they were hoping that they would get him, bring him in, bring him to justice. And so they were preparing for a trial, really, weren't they? So they didn't know for certain. Well, they didn't know if he was dead or alive, did they? So they had to prepare for a trial. They were hopeful that they would bring him in alive. It's a shame they haven't been able to find him alive, because you'd like to see him be brought to justice. But as I say, he will be being brought to justice, but a different kind, another worldly justice, I'm sure. But we won't get to see him brought to justice on this planet, in this crazy world. But or get him, we'll never hear him explain why he did this horrible thing. I don't know if they found any notes or anything. So whatever, all the circumstances will come out, or at least the circumstances that they can work out as time goes. So, I do like this, so many press conferences you see. One particular one recently was when they caught the killer of Charlie Kirk. That bloody FBI guy, Cash, whatever his name is, all just congratulating themselves, You know, like it's all their ego. Oh yeah, you know, look what we've done. We've caught this guy. But you know, and when actually that particular guy was handed in by his family, of course, as well, the Charlie Kirk's killer. So you know, really, it wasn't them that caught him. You know, that well, they would have probably caught him in the end, but the reason he was caught as quickly as he was because his family dobbed him in. You know, so all this ego and backslapping and congratulating. What I like about this is you're not seeing that here. They're thanking each other. You know, the marshal's office of thanking the FBI or thanking the sheriff's thanking them. They're all thanking the community for the help from the community. It's a completely different way of looking at things, isn't it? Community. Not like, oh yeah, I'm better than you are, like I'm brilliant, and you know, clapping yourself on the back. So I do like the whole thing, the way they've dealt with remains. So sounds like animals of you know, poor Travis. I mean, that's the first time I've ever said poor Travis, because you know what I think of him, I sort of hate him really for what he did to those girls. But it's not nice to think of somebody being scattered like that, somebody's remains. But having said that, he did it to himself. Those girls didn't get a choice. He left them there as well, you know. I mean, it could have happened to them. It could have happened to them. They could have been scattered by animals. He just left them there, you know, like discarded in the national park, you know, suffocated, hands tied behind the back. You know, horrible. Yeah, so take that back. I don't mean poor Travis. He's a twonk.
As of now, we don't have those answers.
Sure. Were there any clues to try to figure out whether he had been on the run all this time, or if he went straight to Glenstone Mountain?
Based off the information we have, we will.
Yeah, so they're working on the assumption. I, as you know, I did think that right from the beginning. He probably on that very same day that he killed the girls went and did something to himself up in the mountain. Why he went up into the mountain, I don't know. That forensic psychiatrist, she worked out that place for so there'll be a thought process, and she's an expert. She'll know why she thought that he probably would have gone up to the mountain. I don't know, but maybe it's a place he used to like to go to. Maybe, you know, who knows? Well, that will be forthcoming. But yeah, I think it's likely that he did whatever he did to those girls, and then he was straight off up the mountain to do something to himself. Maybe it was a favourite place of his. Well, you know, I hope we get to know about that sometime, because he said that forensic psychologist also said more or less the elevation that he might be at on that mountain. You know, there's more here. Now, remember they found bloodstains, didn't they, on the back of the truck? You know, I wonder if he had maybe, I don't know, cut himself or done something to himself and then just walked off into the mountain, and then just walked as long as he could until he collapsed and succumbed to his injuries. That's a possibility, isn't it? No firearm was found at the scene. So just to remind ourselves of that. In another press conference, when the guys that were searching, there was a representative from them on, he said no firearm was found at the scene. So he did not shoot himself, that's for sure. So whether he hurt himself down at the... Anyway, hopefully all this will come out, because, you know, we like to know the details, don't we? We want to know what happened. Because there were quite a few, well, there were two at least that I know of false sightings. But yeah, people with the best will in the world thinking that they'd seen Travis Decker around and about, and that takes resources that they haven't got really. He makes that quite clear that this is whole operation has cost a lot of money. But he's, you know, he's got the resources. He's badgered for them. He was determined to resolve this case, and he's done it. Good for him. He might not want to stoke his own ego, but we'll do it for him.
Completed all of our reports and that we've done what we need to do to process the evidence we have. We do not believe there are any other suspects. Anything else we need to follow up on, but we want to make sure it's closed properly.
Yeah, so he wants to dot the I's and cross the T's, doesn't he? He seems like a very methodical man. He knows this is such an important case. There's so much, it's so shocking, isn't it? Not much more shocking, is there, than 3 children smothered, hands tied behind the back by their own father. So this is he wants everything to be just so, just in case, because and good for him. Oh, lovely guy. If only all sheriffs were like that. I know, as we've talked about before, the police aren't perfect, or the law enforcement in any country are not perfect, but they're not all horrible either. So, it's sort of a good feeling. Obviously, as it says, it doesn't bring those lovely girls back, but it's still a good feeling to know that there's some resolution. Whitney, I don't know how Whitney's going to cope, the mother of these girls, to lose all your 3 children, all just like that in an instant, and not only that, in the way that she's lost them. But at least now she doesn't have to worry about, I bet I've been having nightmares about bloody Travis going back to get Whitney, so God knows how she's been feeling. As long as it was thought he was out there somewhere and nobody knew where he was, it was always scary, wasn't it? I say I'm miles away from it, and I found it scary. So actually being there in that community, not only for Whitney, but the rest of the community, not knowing if Travis Decker was going to come knocking on your door one night, how terrifying. So yeah, some resolution in that case. I'll let you know any updates as time goes on. There'll be updates about maybe how he died and more information like that. So in a moment, we're going to talk about another very sad case, of course, which is Celeste Rivas, this young girl, 13 or 14 when she disappeared. It doesn't really matter exactly, but young. And then her body has been all we really know for certain about Celeste, I think, is that her body has been found in the Tesla of her thought to be boyfriend. His car, a car registered to him anyway. David is called, but of course he spells it in a pretentious way because he's a pretentious guy, isn't he? So this was her boyfriend. He's in his late 20s, I think. So she's obviously far too young for him. And the thing is, not only he knew she was too young for him, but all the people, all his management team, because he's a famous singer, he's had to cancel his tour, obviously. But he had, he was just, he got famous on TikTok apparently, and he was getting more and more famous. And he'd started a tour. He had European dates. He was coming to Europe. He had dates in France, etc. And it seems like, anyway, Celeste is deceased. What we don't know is how she died, how she ended up in that car. Was it him who did it, or did somebody else have access to the car, etc., etc. So we know very few details. People saying she was dismembered, but then other people say maybe it was just the decomposition. But then somebody else was saying, no, the law enforcement did say her whole body necessarily wasn't in that trunk. So, but we've had no zilch, nada from law enforcement themselves, no press conference, no information. We're just going by what we can pick up. That rumours she was pregnant, rumours infant remains were found in a search of David's house. These are all rumours until law enforcement confirms them, aren't they? So what we're going to look at as far as this case is concerned, we're going to look at a timeline that somebody's put together on X that I thought was very interesting. Also, we're going to look at, when I can see if I can find it, Ashley Banfield on News Nation. She did a YouTube interview with a guy that was very, very interesting with his thoughts on it. And if I can find that video, we might watch a bit of that as well. See what you think of that. Drop Dead Serious. Let's have a look. Yeah, I have found that. So we're going to have a look at that. I'm going to just have a very, very short break. I just need to get a drink, have a bathroom break. Hi, Darren. So I'll literally be back in literally a couple of minutes. I think I'll put on my advert for my books because I haven't got another video to put on. Sorry about that, but I'll literally 2 minutes. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Did you ever want to know a little bit more about me and my background, how I came to become interested in true crime, how I ended up in Spain being a Spanish teacher? If you want to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me as a person, you can find my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, on any Amazon site, wherever you live in the world. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. So it's the story of how I grew up in Manchester in the UK on a council estate, and very humble beginnings, and my journey through personal tragedies, disastrous romances, and triumphs to become a single mum, a Spanish teacher, and an interpreter living in Spain, and eventually a YouTuber reporting on true crime. So it details my various experiences with people and places over 20 years of teaching, over 20 years now. Ooh, where did that go? Of teaching Spanish and interpreting through the backdrop of the recession, financial uncertainty, severe flooding, and living through COVID. I hope you will find it funny, sad, amazing, silly, serious, and stranger than fiction at times. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to make you angry at least once. I hope to make you cry at least twice, and I hope to make you laugh many, many times. So thank you for all your support on my YouTube channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about me as a person, then you can find out there. So thank you so much. See you very soon in the next video. And as always, till then, may your God go with you. Bye. Gosh, that was really good timing. I literally just sat back down when it finished. I did time that really well. Okay, so let's have a look at the timeline, first of all, of Celeste. So this was something very interesting on X. Somebody that I follow on X, which are called Legacy. And they broke down the timeline of the Tesla and the discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So I'm going to read that out basically because I think it's a very good, I couldn't explain it any better, so I want to give this person their credit. Let's have a look. So, timeline of the Tesla and the discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So, on the 26th of August, a neighbour reported a large dent in the rear of the Tesla. No odour mentioned. On the 27th of August, an officer inspected and cited the car. Still no odour noted. And then on the 25th of, is it going backwards this? How's this working? 25th of August. Anyway, I'll just read it as it is. So on the 25th, oh gosh, I never understand the way Americans put their dates. Is that the 3rd of September? Sorry, yeah. Sorry, in Britain we put the dates the other way around. So on the 3rd of September, the car was ticketed again after remaining in the same spot. No odour was mentioned. But then on the 5th of September, the Tesla was towed and impounded. And then on the 8th of September, the day after Celeste's birthday, because you know it was Celeste's birthday on the 7th, the tow yard reported a strong odour coming from a Tesla with Texas license plate. So just to remind people, this happened in Los Angeles, California. And they found Celeste's severely decomposed remains inside a black trash bag in the front of the Tesla registered under David's name. So the weather conditions at the time in Los Angeles, in late August, the temperatures were 85 to 95 degrees daytime highs. And so now we've all been in hot cars at some point, haven't we? We know what a horrible feeling it is if you're in a car and your aircon's not working. It's terribly oppressive, isn't it? So and the late August temperatures there in Los Angeles would have been 85 to 95 degrees daytime highs. And inside a sealed car, that would make 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit possible interior temperatures. These conditions can lead to advanced decomposition in as little as 4 to 7 days. That's very quick, isn't it? Now, some other information about Teslas. The cabin is airtight. It traps odour inside much longer than older cars. And they have climate control sealing, which may explain why no one smelled anything even as the days passed. Another thing I just want to say, she may say this, or I'm saying she, it might be he or she, I'm not sure. It's one of those X accounts where you don't really know who the real person is. But Tesla, what came up in the interview that I watched with Ashley Banfield, of course, there's cameras everywhere. So if those cameras, they should be within the car, or Tesla may have the details of who was the last person to close the boot, who's the last person to use the car. There's cameras dotted around these Teslas. And if they'd been activated, there may well be, this data may actually show. I mean, surely it'll show her being put in the frunk then. So I expect this is all the investigating that the police are doing at the moment to try and get as much data as they can. So key observations, according to this person, the lack of odour reports on the 26th of August and the 27th suggests that maybe Celeste was not dead yet or very recently. Severe decomposition does not necessarily mean she had been dead a long time before August the 26th, because in Los Angeles heat, just a few days could cause advanced breakdown. And even by the towing away on the 5th of September, odour might have been fully contained within the Tesla. What remains unknown, according to this person, Celeste's body may hold critical answers about the time, date of death, and how she passed, and establishing the timeline of when Celeste was last seen alive is essential to understand what happened. Actually, just let me like that. So yeah, poor Celeste. You know, I mean, she could pass, I think, for 16, maybe 17, but not much more, could she? But there's one, to me, I think it's likely that David, he knew, you know, that she was underage, and probably all his team did as well. So it's not only David that's culpable here for the actual, you know, PDF nature of this case, but also his team, who must have known. That's the Tesla, I think. They must have known that she was underage. And, you know, when I see this photo and a little cross around her neck, it's very, very sad. A shame Jesus couldn't protect this girl because she needed it. She really needed it. Bless her. So that's what this person thinks of as a timeline. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was, you know, a good timeline. You know, to sit down and do a timeline takes time and effort. So thank you for that. Okay, let's have a look now at Ashley Banfield. And what's it called? She's got a few channels. Of course, she's on News Nation. But she's got this Ashley Banfield Drop Dead something. What is it? Drop Dead. Just like that. I think I am subscribed on here. Drop Dead Serious. It's called. It is a very, you know, I do think there's so much. So, as I say, Travis Decker's story sort of coming to an end, if you like, and those poor girls. But this is a case that is literally just starting. It'd be interesting to see how this goes. Is David going to come clean? You know, is he going to come clean? Did he do it, or was it somebody else? Because we have to remember, it may not have been him. Somebody else might have used his car. So they've got all that to find out, haven't we? So let's have a look at this. Oh, I'm not sharing. Sorry, I've just realised I wasn't sharing. I'll share now. Go back to the beginning.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. Another day, another flurry of developments in the case of an up-and-coming R&B singer named David, spelled D4VD, and the underage teen runaway who was found dead in the trunk of his Tesla. That is a headline that this singer cannot escape, and nothing good is going to come of it. But David has escaped the limelight. He has been off the grid and out of sight ever since his house was raided, his concert tour was canceled, and the badly decomposed remains of that young girl were shipped off to the medical examiner.
Yeah, he has sort of disappeared, hasn't he? Nobody's putting any statements out on his behalf, like lawyers or agents. People have cancelled sponsorship. They've cancelled his tour. His lease on the property he was renting, that's been cancelled. But no word from David at all. He's not out there saying, no, I don't know what happened to this girl. He's just making no comment whatsoever, which is probably what he's been advised to do by his lawyer, I suppose. So, we don't even know where he is. He's certainly not in police custody because they couldn't have kept him all this length of time without charging him.
There has been so much talk about this case online. But one thing that hasn't had much attention yet is the car. the car itself, and the stories that that car can tell us, even if the dead teenager can't. It's a Tesla, a 2023 Model Y. I actually own the same car, and I have been learning so much about the virtual treasure trove of data that my car collects and that my car sends out. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found in the frunk. That's the forward trunk. It was David's Tesla, and by all indications, Celeste had been in that frunk for a while, locked in there, wrapped in plastic, baking in the Los Angeles summer sun. And here's why that matters. What happened inside that car?
Yeah, so apparently she was wrapped in plastic. I mean, at the end of the day, at the very least, if maybe Celeste, for, I don't know, if we sort of think, well, maybe she wasn't murdered, maybe she unalived herself, or maybe it was an accidental overdose. Somebody disposed of the body and put it in the front of this car. She didn't do that, did she? So at the very least, this is desecration of a corpse.
The heat, the conditions, the rate of decomposition, it changed the state of her remains. And what's more, the Tesla itself may hold clues about who put her in there. Data, location history, times that the trunk opened and closed, which car doors opened and closed, passenger as well as driver side door. Might there have been two people? Where had the car come from before being abandoned?
So we've all got dogs, all these YouTube creators, and there's always a dog, isn't there? This is must be Banfield's dog. I don't know why I should just put a picture of it in there.
And that car might even tell us who was driving it when it was abandoned, and who closed that trunk for the very last time. There are 8 cameras around the outside of a Tesla, and it can pull in video and pictures constantly. There's also a camera inside that Tesla, also can record pictures of who's driving. This is technology that could tell investigators things that no eyewitness ever could.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, that, isn't it? The thing is, you're always being watched these days by something or someone. And as far as Tesla, I mean, I've never had a Tesla. I know people who've got them. They love them. They say they're brilliant. They've got very high. They've got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Things like this. I don't know whether I'd quite like that, to be honest. It's not good to think that you're being filmed, everything you do, and it's being relayed back to Tesla. Now, of course, in a case like this comes up, that's going to be invaluable, isn't it? All that data. But as just a normal driver of a car, would you really want to think that Tesla could see exactly what you were doing when you opened the boot, when you closed it? All those things, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's going to result as being a good thing in this case, of course. But yeah, do you think that's what the police are poring over, maybe even as we speak, trying to get this information out of Tesla? Because we find out later from someone she's talking to, of course, companies like Tesla, they don't give away information freely, not even to the police. You would have to get a warrant, I would imagine, to access that data, because Tesla's got to cover their own backs, haven't they? Just like, other big companies.
If you're brand new to this story, and if you want the full timeline of everything that's happened in this story, I've put one together. I actually put together a playlist with all of our coverage on Celeste's disappearance and her death. And you'll see it in the episode description. But in this particular episode, we're zeroing in on the clues that Celeste's body might be able to tell us about her killer. And we're also digging into the forensic data from the Tesla itself, the secrets that car might be able to reveal. It is a case that is dark. And because of that, every bite could matter.
It is a very dark case, isn't it? But anyway, I'm going to fast forward because she goes on to, she's got a sponsor. She goes through a sponsorship. So let's just have a look what this expert had to say.
Yeah.
Now,
Wasn't it like 70 pounds or something crazy?
right. When they recovered her remains, Ash, 71 pounds.
Now, that's an important thing. So they look at this missing persons poster. Celeste's weight is said to be 120 pounds. When Celeste's body was recovered, it was 71 pounds. So that's a massive difference. So it says on this missing persons poster she was 13 when she went missing. I thought she was. That's, you know, what I've seen everywhere, but some people say 14, but it doesn't matter. So a difference between 120 pounds when she went missing and 71 pounds when she was found. Why is that? It's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, he's going to give a few ideas.
49 pounds she's missing. So what can we determine from that? Well, we've heard reports of dismemberment, and there was one report from the police that said the body was not intact. So either we're missing something or she's in such an advanced state of decomposition. And look, I don't want to go too far over the top here, but bodies do have a tendency to break down and even liquefy to a certain degree. And in this heat, and I even remember in August, I got friends in LA and they were talking about it was a record-breaking heat wave that they were in during this specific period of time. And heat, as we know, speeds everything up, particularly decomposition.
Well, we all know how hot a car can get.
Yes.
This is a black.
Yeah, so another interesting thing is her Celeste's body has been released to her relatives for burial. So whatever they wanted to take, you know, whatever information they needed from her remains, they've taken them. You know, and they do that nowadays, don't they? They take the x-rays, they take the sonar pictures or whatever, you know, they take samples from all the vital organs and then they release the remains, because forensic science, I mean, years ago, they would not release a body until, you know, somebody had been charged and maybe even sometimes till they were actually convicted, just in case it might be needed again. But nowadays they do store so much information from the body, and now she has been released, bless her, to her relatives who can bury her with dignity.
Tesla, it is the trunk. It is outside, likely in late August, early September in LA. Can you give me an idea of how fast a body can be in advanced or liquefied decomposition in that kind of an environment?
Yeah, relatively quickly. And if she's been packaged like in plastic in any way, that's also going to cause the body to sweat as well, contained within that within a plastic packaging. I'd heard some indication.
Now, I'm just to let you know, it does sort of go into a little bit more detail, really, than I'm going to go into. So I'm going to leave you there with that. If you want to watch the full video, go on to Ashley Banfield and on YouTube, and you can watch the whole video. He does go into some gory details that I don't want to go into. So where we are basically with this case, I've given you the timeline there that somebody worked out. This is what we know. You know, this girl, this poor girl, 13 years old when she went missing, would be 15 now, was found in the front of the Tesla that belongs to David, the singer. He's sort of gone off the grid, really, but we know he was supposedly cooperating with the police. There was another, that was another thing that I was going to just show. Yeah, from that same X account, what they were saying today is that the movers have stripped a $4.1 million Los Angeles mansion once rented by David and his manager. Exclusive photos obtained by the Daily Mail show delivery crews hauling boxes and furniture from the Hollywood Hills estate just days after police raided the property in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste. One thing we do know is David is out of the house and all his belongings are gone with him. And the silence is loud. Let's have a look. I'm going to have a look at the Daily Mail in a moment. But yeah, they're taking all the stuff out, moving everything out. But the police have already been in there, of course. So presumably, let's see if I can find the actual article in the Daily Mail. Can't find it. Oh, there it is. I can find it on the in the Independent. So David's mansion. Oh, let's share it. David's mansion emptied by movers as the mystery of the body found in the car continues. There he is, the man himself. Movers were spotted clearing out the 4.1 million Los Angeles mansion. Photos showed large boxes being carried out. Movers hauling boxes down a large flight of stairs. Yeah, it's more or less saying the same thing. So the longer this case goes on without any information from law enforcement, the more, of course, everybody's interest is piqued. So apparently the LAPD said that several items of evidence were taken from the singer's rental property. Yeah. Well, let me know what you think in comments. Do you think it's just a matter of time before this guy is charged? Or is it possible that somebody else did something to Celeste? Why won't that turn off? Anyway, is it possible that somebody else did something to Celeste and put her in his car? Is it just a coincidence? Even as I'm saying that, I'm sort of laughing to myself. But could be. Might be nothing to do with him, of course. We've got to remember that, haven't we? Okay, I'm going. I'll see you really soon in the next video. God bless Celeste. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, think about becoming a member. I may be back later on today, I'm not sure, but I'll see you soon, whatever way. It won't be long before I'm back chatting to you guys again. Thank you for watching. And thank you for caring, not only about Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn, of course, the Decker sisters that we looked at first, the case of their brutal murder by their father, but also thank you for caring about Celeste. And we want justice for Celeste. Somebody killed this young girl, or somebody put her in that front at least, even if nobody killed her. They covered up her death one way or another. And she deserves justice, doesn't she? As we'd want for our own children. We'd want justice for our loved one. And Celeste deserves that justice too. So thank you. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. And I'm going to put a jazzy song on to finish with to cheer us up. Because we need cheering up after true crime stories, don't we? Let's see. What's this one? No, this one. Bye.
Click that like if you're smiling today. Give a follow to help spread the play. Share the play with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide, don't hide. Join Vicky Marie's Ride Worldwide. Tap that bell so you never miss a dose of love and endless bliss. YouTube others, search my name, Vicky Marie, let's grow this flame. Thanks for the support, you're the best crew. Now go tell the world you know what to do. Vicky Marie, ha ha ha. You Marie,
Ha ha ha.
let's brag now. Click that like if you're smiling today. Give a follow to help spread the play. Share the joy with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide, don't hide. Let's grow this flame. Click that like if you're smiling today. Give a follow to help spread the play. Share the joy with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care.